Hello, listeners, and welcome to a brand new episode of Never Seen It. This is the podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. I am your host, Betsy, and with me today and all days is Trent.
I'm always here.
Yeah, we say that every time I introduce you, and yet you keep coming back for more.
I keep coming back. More abuse.
That's right. Today, we are continuing our June series of movies. These are all movies that are led by women. So they are starring women, perhaps directed by women, produced by women, but acting-wise, it's all about the ladies.
All lady-centric.
And we are watching a movie that I have seen, I believe, one time, and Trent has never seen.
No.
We are going back to 1999 to watch Girl Interrupted.
It's got girl in the title.
It's in the title. So obviously it must meet the brief. But Trent, you have never seen this movie.
Yeah.
Any particular reason why? Because I think this one's been on your list for some time to just
has.
watch.
Yeah, it's been on like the podcast list forever. I like the people who are in it. I know Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder are the two people on the poster. I happen to know that I believe Brittany Murphy is also in it in an early role. Other than those three, I can't really think of anything, but I know everybody is in some kind of mental institution.
Okay. Do you know anything else about like the plot, or do you remember when this movie came out? Things about it?
So I remember that Angelina won for Best Supporting Actress.
She did.
I know that much. And you know, the things that I've heard subsequently are like the things that were happening on set. Like, I understand that there were like two different camps on set of these are the Angelina people and these are the Winona people.
There were kind of two cliques.
Yeah,
in the set.
It's very cliche to say, oh yeah, these are very cliquey and bitchy women going at it after each other, and it's stupid. But you know, in a situation like that, when you have a lot of big egos, that'll happen on any movie set.
Mm-hmm. And this is like established stars versus stars on the rise.
Yeah,
because
Winona was an 80s baby. She was very much popular in the 80s.
She already had an Oscar nomination under her belt by this time.
Yeah, and Angelina was the new hotness coming in and kind of taking over.
Mm-hmm. Very different kinds of stars, too, when you put those two next to each other and think about their careers.
Yeah, Winona was never like the sex pot. Like, Angelina had that about her, that she was just out there just very much owning her sexuality. And I have no idea if that has anything to do with that in this movie or not, but that was her persona anyway. So these two actresses coming from a very different point in their lives, and I understand that Winona was, I mean, probably a lot older. Maybe they're not really portraying it that much in the movie. But as far as like the movie itself, let's get back to that. I really know nothing about the plot. I know Winona goes into this mental institution. I don't know why. I believe that it's her experience going into this place and meeting all these other women, because this is an institute for women. I don't know what people's problems are. I don't know if they get out. I don't know if this is going to be like the female version of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, if there's really a reason why she's here or she's volunteer. I honestly do not know anything more than what I just said.
Yeah, and as I said, I've only seen this once. And it was already many years ago. It's probably going to be one, as I'm watching it, I remember, oh yeah, this is the thing that happens next. But trying to summon up what happens in this movie, don't remember, couldn't tell you. And I don't know why, because I also didn't see this right away when it came out and haven't watched it again since. I don't know if this is one I just didn't like, or I was in the wrong headspace, or what. I guess we're going to find out when we watch it here again.
And I'm sure we're going to talk more about it after we watch this, but we talk sometimes about genre films like, okay, there is a period of time where there's one movie that comes out that kind of defines a genre or redefines a genre, and then we have a streak of films that all come out that are very similar to that. There haven't really been a whole lot of movies like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest where it's completely set in a mental institution, and it really dives deep into what this place is.
What it's like there for the patients who are there.
Yeah, and there's just not a lot of films that were like that from the 1960s when that movie came out all the way up until 1999. And even since then, there haven't been a lot of movies like this. So it'll be interesting to really see how they're portraying this. I don't even know if this is set in 1999.
Well, I guess we're going to go and find out, Trent. We're going to watch Girl Interrupted, and we will be right back. And we're back. That was from 1999, Girl Interrupted. Trent, immediate thoughts?
So I don't know about this one. I was kind of struck by the gulf between the scores of the Rotten Tomatoes critic score and the audience score. There's a 35-point gap.
And the critic score is pretty low.
Yeah, but people tend to like it. And I can see why, coming at this from a very critical point of view, where you could just look at this movie and say, it's kind of derivative. It's another one of these movies, even though there aren't that many of them. It just seems like it's a cookie cutter version of another kind of movie like this.
Well, you described at the beginning in the intro that it feels like they were trying to approach this as some kind of all-female One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to agree with you, but the problem is there is a lot of spirit to that movie, and I really connect with a lot of the characters, and you feel a great empathy to all the characters in that movie. They're really developed. They're very interesting. And for some reason, this one is lacking something. I don't know. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but I do feel like you're right. It's trying to be something that maybe it isn't, or it just doesn't quite succeed in what it's trying to go for.
If we're going to go down this road, I would say the difference between that movie and this movie is that the main character, the Jack Nicholson character in that movie, Murphy, I think his name was, he's a real character. In this one, Winona Ryder, I don't think her character is really there. I think she is just a vessel for the audience. Whereas in Cuckoo's Nest, there's some development there. There's a goal that he has in mind. There's a reason for him being there.
He has a spirit and a goal and a need and a drive.
Exactly. There's something there. With this girl, there's not much there. She's in denial about her condition, and she's just kind of floating through, which is probably why it takes her an entire year to start her treatment.
To accept that she needs it and actually make the effort to get better.
And I'm not discounting the fact that, yes, it takes some time. If you are in real denial about a condition that you have, I understand that it might take you some time to allow the doctors and the medicine to actually do their work. Mm-hmm. And when you are influenced by a lot of other people who are also ill, it's a different kind of thing. So, and in Cuckoo's Nest, Murphy's there because he just doesn't want to go to prison. And by the end, he's kind of there for the rest of his life. So I think that's really the rub here. It is the main character's difference between that movie and this movie.
Yeah. And I don't know if the filmmakers were trying to make any comparisons whatsoever, or it's just because this movie takes place in the 1960s. It is in a mental institution. There's a lot of similarities to that other film, so we can't help as an audience but compare it. We can't. We literally can't.
It's just the feeling, the vibe of both these movies are just about the same.
They really are. But like I said, where that one succeeds in many ways, this one doesn't succeed in nearly as many. I wouldn't say this movie is bad, but I think at best this movie is just okay. Because there are moments the tonal shifts are so dramatic and sudden, or the editing choices are such that it's like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
What am I watching here?
The presentation of the movie is jarring, and I understand what they're going for here because she's this borderline personality disorder kind of a person. And by the way, if you didn't already know, heads up, we're going to be talking about some mental things. We're going to be talking about maybe some suicide. So if you're not really game to hear about that, skip this episode. Come back next week. We're going to have a lot more fun next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a very different episode.
Indeed. But the presentation of these things early on in the movie are very jarring in that the storyteller is showing you what kind of a life this person has had prior to going into the institution, where like she's being pushed and pulled from school into not college, and everybody else is going to college, and she's got this boyfriend, and at the same time her parents are terrible. So I can see why there is this mental gymnastics happening with her mind, and maybe why she gets to focus more once she gets into the institution, but they decide to present it in a way in the movie that is very jarring, and it's
edited together where they're happening simultaneously. You're trying to figure out as the viewer who this person is who is being committed, who's committing herself to this institution, but you're also getting all of her background, and it's happening just like hard cut, hard cut, hard cut.
And
where she just drifts off. She's like staring off into the middle distance and then suddenly finds herself in the past. And she's having also a dialogue with her therapist about how time is like weird and you can see through space and time, but she insists she doesn't do drugs. Because again, this whole thing is set against the backdrop of the 1960s. So there's also almost a simultaneous metaphor where it's like, is she actually dealing with mental health, or is she just experiencing the 1960s as many, many, many people did?
Sure, but at the same time, when talking about the movie, we are dropped into basically the end of the movie. So that's why it begins with a kind of the future, but then you go back to the way past, and then you go back to the future again, and then the past. And I had a real hard time following this right off the bat until I realized what was happening.
Yeah. And I'm not really sure the intention here. So the director of this movie is James Mangold, who, again, didn't know he directed this movie until the very end credits.
Big name. He just did Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
He did Logan. He did Wolverine. He did
a lot of movies.
Ford versus Ferrari.
A lot of movies that you and I have seen.
And we like.
He's one of those directors that makes steady work. He makes, I guess, decent work. He is a perfectly good director, but he's not exactly a Spielberg or a Nolan or somebody that is just like a visionary.
He might liken himself to be another Spielberg.
Yeah.
And the comparison there is that you can dip your toe into every single genre out there and come out with a successful film.
But he's not the guy who's usually writing it at the same time.
Right.
He's just a very solid director. And in this movie, you know, the vision that he has, I'm trying to figure out if it's more based on the screenplay, which he also did write this screenplay. He co-wrote this. So I feel like this is the purest of his visions that we've seen to date, because I feel like most of the other movies that he has directed that we have seen, he has not written. Not in most cases, anyway.
I don't think so.
But anyway, my point being, if we're watching it where we start at the end of the movie and then we have this voiceover and then we have this like hard cutting back and forth between the present and the recent past, and then the present and then the recent past, but it's just happening so quickly, and then we stop doing that altogether, I'm just trying to understand what his goal was with that. Is he trying to disorient us and make us feel the way that she feels? Is he trying to just get a lot of information across in a very short amount of time? Is it all of the above?
I think it's everything. You could even call this is kind of a schizophrenic movie, not to make any kind of puns here, but that's kind of what it feels like.
And you said like she's diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and she goes through this whole ordeal, and at the end they say she's recovered. I feel like you don't really recover from that.
Basically, the way they're talking about this is, think about a cliff. She is teetering on that cliff. If she goes over the cliff, there's kind of no coming back from this personality disorder taking over altogether.
Okay.
So what they essentially did was catch it before she goes over.
And we're just on her journey as she's deciding which is she going to be.
Yeah, and when they are in the doctor's office, they're talking about the word ambivalence, and they're talking about the definition of that, and the doctor explains it in a different way that really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the literal Latin root, not what we as a society call it.
Yeah, essentially, what they're doing here is she has to decide whether or not she's going to remain as she is, or she's going to decide to get better, because she's not that far gone yet.
Mm-hmm.
So she finally decides, okay, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to take the meds. I'm going to do what the doctors tell me to do. And she recovers.
But it's not until she's kind of removed from certain stimuli. the introduction of Lisa into the equation is really what holds her back. It's like, you can go be a normal person out in the outside world, or quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
You can go live your life out there. You can get better, or you can be like Lisa and be here forever.
Also,
and when she sees...
Lisa's there to also propel her in whatever direction that Lisa wants to go. And Susanna isn't propelling herself at all. She's just kind of following. Yeah. And it's not until the end of the movie where she finally throws it back in Lisa's face saying, fuck you. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And you're just kind of fucked up.
But that's where it feels like a heavy-hitting metaphor, because it's like, so is she standing up to her own mental illness? Is that what we're supposed to take away? She like finally chooses life at the end and
I think so.
Says no to mental illness.
Kinda.
Yeah, and just the whole approach, this whole roller coaster, it's just like, I don't know, Susanna's just kind of a whiny, entitled rich girl most of this movie. Like, that's what it kind of feels like. Like, she's just... It's little parts of The Graduate where he, gets out of college and he doesn't know what he wants to do in his life. It's a little bit the 1960s in general, where people were just sort of aimless in adopting the hippie culture.
It's a directionless kind of a culture where young men are being sent off to die and there's just nothing really left to hope for.
But that's how this movie feels like structurally too. Just... we're jumping over here and we're doing a little of this and a little of that. Whoopi Goldberg is here to call her out on her bullshit once in a while, but she's kind of not that important to the overall plot. Yeah, there's just a lot of parts to this. And I don't know if they work together. Like, again, I understand the movie, but I also kind of don't care.
Yeah, I would say there's only one emotional moment that got me.
Okay.
Really. It was at the end of the movie when they have their final confrontation in the bowels of this building. And in the aftermath of that, Lisa is strapped down to this bed. Susanna comes in there and paints her nails. And as a rejoinder, Lisa says back to her, I'm not really dead, after being told that, yeah, you're already dead. You're not even alive in here. You're just kind of existing. And, there's tears running down her face. And maybe this is really the moment where Lisa's deciding, I'm going to let this treatment take me over.
Yeah.
That's really the only moment where it got me. Everything else, I didn't give a shit.
But it's even left unresolved because it happens so late in the movie that you're interpreting that way. But we are given another voiceover where Winona Ryder's character is driving away. She's been recovered and now she's going out into the world to live her life, and she's going to be a writer and it's going to be great for her. And she says, I left, and by the 70s, most of those girls were gone. Some of them were not.
Yep.
But they don't explicitly say what happened to everybody.
They don't do the normal thing of this person went on to become a U.S. senator.
It's not that kind of a movie. And I guess that's okay, but it does leave you feeling really unsatisfied.
And we should say here that this is actually based on the author who wrote this book. It's based on a book. It's based on her real life.
She went through this.
Yeah,
this is something
real.
She experienced.
So it is plausible that she just wouldn't know what happened to the rest of these women.
Yeah, especially in the 1960s. People didn't stay in touch the way they do now. It wasn't so immediate. You could easily lose track of people.
Yeah.
But even the author of this book saw this movie and described it as mediocre and derivative.
Melodramatic drivel.
Thank you. Yes, melodramatic drivel is what she called this movie.
And that's not that far off from the truth.
Yeah. I think if you got her perspective, if you were to actually read the source material, it's probably a lot more impactful.
Maybe.
Than it's left interpreted to be.
But when you're making a movie like this, you have to add drama. You have to add that extra spark to make people really pay attention. Whereas in a real mental institution, it's just kind of this every day. you get up, there's people coming around checking on you, you take your meds, you sit in front of the TV, and you repeat it the next day.
That's good days, there's bad days. Somebody in the corner is screaming and being dragged off.
There might be incidents throughout the day, and you just kind of ignore it because that happens every day.
Something triggers them, and you just kind of smoke your cigarettes.
There's another comparison between those two movies. So much cigarette smoke.
That's also just the times.
It's true.
That's just the 1960s.
It's the one thing that you're really allowed to calm yourself down that isn't meds.
Yeah. You can have as many of those as you want because you're not getting anything else.
Right. They're also like a nickel.
All right, so we've got many, many things to talk about. But before we get into this, let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. What's the matter, Billy? You look bored just sitting there clicking that pen.
Well, Becky, I've already listened to this week's episode of Never Seen It, and there's nothing left for me to do. Guess I'll just sit here and click this pen until next Sunday.
Wait, Billy, what if I told you that the Never Seen It crew puts out 4 other shows every month?
4 shows? How do I get those?
It's easy. Just go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, and for $5 per month, you get access to all their extra content.
Wow, that sounds a whole lot better than clicking this pen.
It sure does, Billy. It sure does. So one of the elements of this movie is that this was a very strong passion project, specifically for Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
She is one of the executive producers on this. She is the one who picked James Mangold to direct. She had personally gotten the rights to this book and tried to get it made into a movie for 7 years. But that meant that by the time this movie was made, she was 28 years old. And in the movie, she's supposed to be 18. So this bothered me. How did you feel about it? I know she's one of those actresses that is perpetually youthful, and especially in this time frame.
At least in this era, for sure.
Like, I don't feel like it's that huge a stretch because if you look at yearbooks and things from the 1960s, everyone looks about 40 years old. It's just kind of the times. But how did you feel about her in this movie? We've only watched one Winona Ryder movie on this podcast, and it was Beetlejuice when she was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of go back to the fact that I feel like she is just the vessel for the audience here. There's not a whole lot of extra things that she is having to do here emotionally or acting wise. Really, the biggest that she goes is when she's thrown into a bathtub and is, shouting racist things at Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, that's kind of the exception to the rule. I don't think I've ever seen Winona Ryder do something like that outside of this movie.
No, and I think obviously she is acting out because she's kind of taking the role of Lisa in this case.
Yeah. She's having a hissy fit because she wants to. Like, there's no real reason for it other than you took my friend away and I want answers, so I'm going to throw a big conniption fit until you tell me what's going on.
But other than that moment, I feel like she's just kind of hovering around everybody else. The other characters here are really the draw. Much like in Cuckoo's Nest, the main character there is just there to interact with the rest of the people.
Yeah, they're the, quote, sane one when everybody else is the crazy one, quote unquote.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not crazy. What am I doing here?
Which I want to go and just switch gears here and start talking about Angelina Jolie. Because we just read, after the movie came out, she was doing interviews and being told, oh yeah, you play a crazy person so well. And that's not how she was approaching this. Angelina came in there and played it completely straight.
She said she is not crazy. Lisa is not crazy.
She said Lisa is the only sane person in this entire institute.
Yeah. Everyone around her is the, quote, crazy one.
Right.
She is the one who just tells it like it is.
And that is interpreted as being crazy because why would you be so honest with people? So, I mean, I get where they're coming from in that sense, but reading that anecdote about her playing it straight, I think it really shines through here because you could see her on the street and just say, well, she's just kind of a, she's feisty. She's a firecracker.
Yeah, she's
that kind of an attitude.
She's somebody who is interesting, but not dangerous, or maybe like a little dangerous, but in like a fun kind of way.
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
Which is why I think she totally deserved at least the nomination, if not the win. because I was very impressed by her.
Oh, she literally comes on the screen and is like kicking the door down and is just like, what's up, bitches?
Right.
Here I am. And it's not that she hadn't made movies before this. We've already done one of them and it was Hackers.
Yeah.
You know, and she might have had some memorable performances prior to this, but it's really this one where it's just like, okay.
She can act.
She can act and you notice her. You cannot help but notice her in this movie. I would almost say that to, again, bring it back to Cuckoo's Nest, she is more the Jack Nicholson character.
Yeah, she's the Murphy because she's going around and interacting with all the other crazies.
She is the one who is egging everybody on to do things that they maybe don't want to do.
Yep.
And you also feel very empathetic towards her. Like she gets taken away and they're doing electroshock therapy on her.
Yeah.
Like this place is doing some things that are not done anymore. In the 1960s, they did some really extreme stuff when people had mental illnesses. This is the age of the ice pick lobotomy. They still did that and thought, oh yeah,
That'll fix you right up.
This is a good treatment. Yeah, you know why? Because you poked a hole in their brain. That's gonna actually fix them because you caused brain damage.
Yeah.
Like that's some fucked up shit. When she comes back and she's confused and she calls Susanna Jamie because that was her old roommate's name.
Yep.
She says, they shocked me again and I can't do it anymore. Like she is in this moment, I feel like trying. She has tried to just make sense of the world and her place in this institution. And she is just being viewed as absolutely intolerable, absolutely unmanageable. She is crazy. No one believes that she's sane. So what is the point of any of this? They're trying all of these different things to treat her, but she has just sort of accepted that this is how she is. Like, I don't think she is arguing, like Lisa, the character, is a sociopath. I think she's a diagnosed sociopath, and she has just accepted this role. And I don't think she's trying that hard to get better because she's like, why?
Yeah.
What's the point?
It all kind of comes out when they go into the doctor's office and they start reading the doctor's notes about themselves.
They all go, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. And,
You are observing true things about us.
right. And, you know, as part of the treatment process, you're not really supposed to know what the doctor thinks about you, especially early on, because then you might subconsciously change your responses to these questions to fit whatever answers that you think that they're looking for.
Lisa even says that early on in the movie. She's like, have you seen the therapist yet? Because Daisy over there, she gets to go home because she answered the questions the way she's supposed to. You just keep saying exactly what they want to hear, and eventually they'll decide you're okay and you can leave.
Basically, they say, okay, you just need to agree with everything that they say. Yes, I do have this disorder. Yes, I do have this problem, and I'm working on them.
Yep.
Thumbs up.
I'm taking my medication, even though none of them are taking their meds. And
Yeah.
it's the two paths. It's the Susanna path, which is you could be getting better. You just don't think you know what else to do. So you'll just stick around here, not
Yeah.
making any progress.
Right.
Or you can take the Lisa path and live in this institution for 8 years and never change anything. And you wonder why your life's a wreck.
And you start off, Susanna here is starting off on the Lisa path. Like all she is doing the things in order to get by.
She does what Lisa does.
She doesn't take the meds.
She sees her pretend to swallow the pills, so she pretends to swallow the pills. She goes down in the basement, so Susanna goes down in the basement.
Right. Not really realizing that you're here for a reason, lady, and you're not going to get out until you really put in the effort.
Yeah. You keep saying you want to leave, but then when you're presented with opportunities to leave, you don't take them. So like when her boyfriend shows up, she's like, no, I don't want to leave with you because I have...
Inexplicably played by Jared Leto. What the fuck is he doing here? Anyway, continue,
But
sorry.
she says, I have friends here. I feel like I belong here. I'm going to stay. I don't want to
Right.
leave with you.
Which that's kind of Lisa's role. She is an institution at this place. Everybody knows her.
Mm-hmm. And she helps the other girls when she wants to, but she also pushes buttons when she wants to. And the only time that Susanna actually decides to leave is that moment where Lisa has been, electroshocked and she escapes the other wing and she sneaks into Susanna's room in the middle of the night and says, let's get out of here. Let's go to Florida. and the two of them sneak out to go to Brittany Murphy's house.
Yeah.
You know, when they get there, Brittany Murphy's character is somebody who probably should not be out on her own.
No.
She should not be out on her own.
Not without constant supervision.
No, but she has said all the right things and done all the right things, and she's got a rich dad who can help her out. And so she was able to leave. And when they see her, she is clearly not doing well. And Lisa pushes her buttons. Ultimately, they find her. She has hung herself in the bathroom.
Right.
Like, it does not take very much pushing to get her to that place.
Yeah, they discovered that she has been injuring herself. I have known plenty of people who have done such a thing, and that particular condition is one of the hardest things that people can really kick. It's
Without serious help.
It's really hard.
Yeah. Everything you need to know about these two characters, you see in this moment. Because when they discover her, Susanna screams and starts crying and calls the cops.
Yep.
And she immediately grabs the cat and goes right back to the institution.
She does the thing that you need to do in that case.
She
knows what needs to be done.
She said, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to find myself in a position that I'm so unwell that I'm not getting the help that I need, that I know that I need. And she calls the right people and gets a ride right back to where she came from. Meanwhile, when Lisa sees what happened, she does not respond. She is so vacant and then starts looting her pockets for money. And then she's just like, yeah, she was looking for a reason. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, it is the lack of response and lack of remorse or lack of empathy and just lack of emotion in general.
And that's the sociopathic tendency.
Yeah.
Like, you just do not have any sort of reaction to humanity. You do not care about humanity.
Yeah, and I do believe that this is the point in the Susanna character where she finally realizes that could be me.
Yeah.
I could get released from this institution. I could be set up in this apartment. It's kind of like the Shawshank thing, honestly, where somebody gets released and they're not ready to just be out on their own. In this case, Susanna realizes, yes, that could be me if I do not get my shit together. And at that point, she decides, okay, I'm not going to teeter on this cliff anymore. I'm going to stay put. I'm going to take the advice from the doctors. I'm going to follow their direction. I'm going to take the meds. And from this point on, she's on her way to recovery. But she spent an entire year in this place doing nothing to help herself.
She was not being productive at her treatment.
Right.
Until she finally is separated from the Lisa factor and she's actually getting better. And then Lisa is reintroduced.
Yeah.
And this presents the absolute worst moment because she's about to get out. Susanna's about to leave. And she has this scene with her doctor where she says, I'm stable. I'm not on medication. I've been great for weeks. I'm ready. I'm sleeping. Everything's so good. And the doctor seems to hesitate like, I know, but what's the thing that's going to trigger you? And that's the thing that you always have to worry about in any mental health situation, in any addiction situation, in any sort of thing where it could take one day. Sure. One bad thing to happen to you. And that's the day Lisa shows back up. And she is, once again, kind of comatose and in the padded room down the hall. And, she breaks in and takes her book where she has written all of these things. Susanna has written down all of these things about all of the other patients.
And it's not only just about the patients themselves, it's also about herself.
Yeah.
Because I would say one of the most therapeutic things that I have ever done in my life has been keeping a blog, keeping a journal, keeping a place where I can write down whatever happens to be on my mind. And this was not like prescribed to me. I've never been under the care of a doctor like that. But I found back when I was around this age, probably early to mid 20s, I kept a blog for years. And that was my therapy. I didn't have like a really close friend at the time. I wasn't dating people at the time. So I found that if I wrote down what was in my head, it would get it out. And they even talk about that. The doctor tells her, get these thoughts out of your brain. Tell me, talk to me about it. Talk to somebody about it, but just get them out of your head.
Stop stewing about it in your own centralized way.
Right.
Like, get it out of your system and maybe you'll recover. And she actually does. But it's not until Lisa is reading her notebook aloud to the other patients that she has to confront it. And this is, again, that thing where at the end, she has to confront her own mental illness, basically, where she screams, Lisa, you're dead inside.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like you. I want to go be out in the world because anything is better than being in this fucking place. I want to try.
Right.
She makes that decision in that moment. And Lisa, hearing this, of course, has a little bit of a breakdown, and she's like emotional on the floor. And that's where we get to the beginning of the movie, which is actually the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So structurally, you're like, how did we get here? You said there were some moments where the mood, the transitions are very strange. It's Susanna's last night. She takes some sleeping pills because there's a lot of cacophony going on this particular night. She wakes up in the middle of the night. Her cat is gone and the notebook is gone. And so she's following the sounds of the cat, and this is where she finds Lisa and everything. But on the way down there, you said it's like a fucking horror movie.
The camera is like pulled back as she's walking down the really big hallway, and then she gets down into like the art room and then the bowels of this building.
And you can hear Lisa's voice echoing through the creepy sub-basement.
You can see her like way at in the background reading this thing, and she's just walking off screen,
and she's in a nightgown. You're just like a hospital gown.
Yeah, it's presented like it's a horror movie, and she's kind of going back into her illness, so to speak.
And she starts screaming about, you want me to be the villain? I'll be the villain. And she's like chasing her with a needle. It's like so bizarre.
That did not need to be there.
No, it literally feels like she's gonna get murdered in this movie. All of a sudden, it feels like that's where this movie is going. And there's a couple of times in the movie like that it's just incongruous with the rest of the film, where I'm like, why is it just because we are using a really heavy-hitting metaphor? Like, that's kind of what it feels like. The only reason it's here is for you to be so afraid of your own mental illness or the mental illness of somebody else that you confront it and you recover miraculously.
Yeah, it's because she's able to stand up to Lisa and just tell her, no. Essentially, no, I'm not going to go along with you on this journey ever again. I'm done.
You have no power over me anymore.
Kinda. And she's like talking like Lisa is the manifestation of her mental illness.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a little bit too on the nose.
It's aggressive by the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that's my biggest thing about this is just it's so many little moments and tonal things, and there's a little bit of humor, but not a lot. So it's not as funny as you want it to be. I don't expect this movie to be funny, but it's not as dark as maybe it needs to be sometimes.
I mean, Cuckoo's Nest was funny. There are a lot of funny moments in that movie.
But I'm not going to keep comparing it to that movie because I've not seen that one nearly as many times as you probably have.
I've read the book. I've probably seen that movie 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, so you've seen it more than me, certainly.
Yeah.
Something I will say that I appreciate about this. This is 1999. This has a really strong cast of actors in it. And this is kind of one of those projects where tons of people wanted to be in this movie because it's like there are a lot of juicy roles for female characters in this.
It's also one of these movies or scripts that has probably been hanging around Hollywood
Floating
for
around.
years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so people are aware of it. It's just a matter of finding the right producers and director and cast, really.
Getting the group together and getting it going.
Yeah.
But some of the people who are also patients at this institution include Clea Duvall. So around this time, she was in She's All That. So that came out the same year as this.
Yep.
And then she made a lot of other things in the coming years. I want to say maybe she was on Freaks and Geeks. I'm not sure about that. But in the early 2000s, she did a lot of projects. Brittany Murphy, as I mentioned. A very young Elizabeth Moss, several years before she made Mad Men.
She was the youngest person in the cast.
She was the only one who was actually a teenager when she played a teenager.
Right.
Whoopi Goldberg in kind of a minor role where it's like, I understand why it was Whoopi Goldberg because she added a little bit of weight to the role, but she didn't have a lot to do, so it almost could have been anybody else. Vanessa Redgrave is in this. Jeffrey Tambor is in this as the 2 doctors that she sees throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, inexplicably, Jared Leto. It is unusual to have all of these actors playing teenagers. maybe it would have
just
been
how it was going in the 90s like that.
Let me finish. Maybe I would have cared more if they were actually teenagers, or certainly I believed them to be teenagers. Because if this is an institution for young people, not like grown women, like they are unclear about what kind of place this is. There's an old woman there.
There's an old woman that she blows the smoke in front of.
But then there's teenagers, and I don't know why we had to establish that Winona Ryder's character is 18. She's fresh out of high school when she's clearly not. And, bless Angelina Jolie, that is a woman. That is not a teenager. She is nowhere remotely close to a teenager.
Yeah.
I just have a fundamental difficulty connecting to these characters when I don't believe them to be the ages they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and they're not going through the same kinds of struggles that a teenager would be.
No.
These are adult problems.
Yeah. And then Jared Leto has this weird little subplot. She refers to him as her boyfriend. He has 2 scenes. I remember him being in this movie a lot more than this, and he really isn't. He's in one of the flashbacks at her graduation. They hook up, and then he gets drafted. He shows up when he's going to be a draft dodger, and he's got a terrible fake beard.
Yeah. He shows up and says, okay, I just got drafted. Let's go to Canada.
Let's go to Canada.
You don't belong here.
My dad gave me $5,000 to dodge this. Let's go.
Yeah.
He didn't need to be in this movie. What is the point of him being in this movie?
As a temptation. And as maybe kind of it's a mental health check in this case. It's challenging her to say, I got something good here. I don't know exactly what it is, but where I'm staying right now is good for me. And if I were to leave here with you, it wouldn't be as good. So it's this teetering thing. If I go over with you, I may never get better.
So there's one little thing in this scene. I don't know if you actually were noticing it because it's so small, and I'm trying to figure out why it was here. When they decide to go outside, because she's got grounds privileges, she can leave the building, she can wander around, she's not at risk of fleeing or anything.
Yeah.
They go down this staircase, and if you notice, she kind of grabs the jagged edge of a fence and cuts her hand open. And then while he's talking to her, she just examines her cut hand. And we don't really draw that much attention to it. They don't explain it. It doesn't have any relevance to the scene, but it is included. What's that about?
I didn't get the fact that she cut her hand. I did notice that they called attention to the jagged point there.
If maybe you looked away from the screen at that moment, they show the palm of her hand with a cut on it, and she's kind of
I
like
didn't see that.
With her other finger pushing at the blood coming out of her hand.
Oh God, no!
Is it just again a heavy-hitting metaphor? Like, look, you bleed, you're real.
I honestly don't know because I didn't see that moment, so I really couldn't tell you.
It's like I said, it's so small you literally missed it. So what was the point of it being there?
I did notice the sharp thing there, and I figured that maybe that particular thing was going to come back later in the movie. Like maybe somebody is trying to escape and they're tripping and they fall on the spike and they die.
Yeah,
it's not that kind of a movie,
Chekhov's gun sort of thing. We showed the spikes, so someone has to hurt themselves on the spike.
Someone has to die on it, of course.
Well, in the way the movie turns into a horror film at the end, you kind of half expect it.
Yeah, I feel like, just to kind of wrap up here, I would say a lot of this movie was made to be a movie. It's not made to be this coming of age story or a recovery story. This is just kind of meant to be a drama. It's a run of the mill drama.
Yeah, we don't get enough into the true issues of the people who are living in this place. Like they don't go into who they really are and why they're really here. They're just sort of people with mental illness. And it's done so casually that I feel like if you're going to really make a movie like this, you need to care deeply about people with mental illnesses. And these people have some really deep-seated issues that they are trying to work through. And I don't think the movie cares that much.
I would have almost rather, I know this is based on a real story, but I would have almost rather they take this as an inspiration and create a fictional story based on it.
So basically, instead of here's Susanna and this is Susanna's experience, filter it and do an artistic interpretation.
Like, get me down and dirty into these characters. Let me know what happens to them. Let the rest of them go through, an emotional roller coaster. Let them try to recover. It's not just about this one person.
Yeah. This movie does feel like it's about the one person and her personal experience. And I get it, because it is. That's what
it is, and that's fine. But as a moviegoer and just a general critic of film, because that's what this podcast is. Hey, I would have rather it be a more fictionalized story, because this one didn't really do it for me.
Yeah, like I said, I can't put my finger on it. There's something about it that is just a little hollow, a little bit missing. It's not bad. This is not a bad movie. No. I have seen way worse movies than this. They don't treat mental illness as like a throwaway. I think they're still trying to be aware of it, respectful of it, treat it with dignity, but they don't get deep enough to make you care. They're trying to go for the big flashy moments. I'm glad Angelina Jolie won an Oscar for this. I think she's really good in it. Mm-hmm. Everybody else around her, it's kind of a mixed bag. It just produces sort of a ho-hum effect by the end of the movie.
Agreed.
All right, Trent. Well, do you have any other thoughts before we wrap up Girl Interrupted?
I feel like I've covered everything that I wrote down about the movie, except for one little thing. This being 1967 Boston, there is one person with an actual Boston accent, and it's the orderly who makes out with Winona Ryder.
Yeah. You'd think there would be more of those.
Yeah,
anybody.
Nobody.
None of the patients, none of the other people who work there.
Nobody even tries.
No. They're all like really rich people who have like shaken their accent. They're not the Kennedys. They're nondescript Bostonians.
No, but that was all I had to say. I mean, we could talk about the fact that, all of these are ladies and they're ladydom, or like there's not really much else to say. I do appreciate that the only reference to the fact that everybody's a woman here is when they're talking about the promiscuity of Susanna. Like she's throwing it back in the therapist's face, asking, could you please define the term promiscuous? Is it one person that I sleep with? Is it 5 people? Is it 106?
Why is it different if you ask the same question about a man?
Right. Yeah, what's the number for a man?
Why is a man's number get to be higher?
Yeah, and that's maybe the 1960s rearing its head into this movie.
Like I keep saying, it's like they were trying to tackle a lot of topics, mental health from a female perspective, feminism, the 1960s, the time and the place this is. But it's also, when written by a man, that's always going to add a wrinkle of complexity where it's through their lens and not through a woman's lens. I think he did co-write this with some women, but
and
when he gets the top credit, it's hard to say how much they wrote.
And who knows how much of that is in the real book and how much of it is the filmmakers.
And when the actual author of the book goes, this movie sucks. it's really hard to see anybody else's side of the argument. But I think that's where we're going to leave it. So, do you love this movie? Do you feel like we do? Do you have a different take on this movie? Please email us, neverseenapod@gmail.com. We did get an email from one of our longtime listeners, but he hasn't reached out in a while, so we're glad to hear from him. It's from Mitch from Saskatoon.
Hey, Mitch.
He sent us an email called Catching Up. Greetings from the great thawed north. Because you see, it's not winter anymore.
It's springtime.
Spring in Saskatchewan means one thing: catching up on Betsy and Trent's podcasts. As a teacher, I don't get lots of free time, so when the kids are out of school and the grass turns green, I sit on the couch. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're taking the time out of your lovely spring to sit indoors and watch movies.
And listen to us.
I've been trying to watch what I can. Finally got to watch Thelma and Louise, and oh boy, was that not the movie I always envisioned it to be. It was riveting. Such a fun movie and totally not girly like I thought it would be. Great supporting cast and awesome transformation of characters. I rank it 9 out of 10 maple syrup bottles.
Why don't we have a rating system on this show?
Because I don't like to rank things. You know this.
You're not ranking things.
Ranking, rating,
you're rating it.
same difference.
It's
Same
not.
difference. Yeah, that is a movie that you definitely on the surface think is going to be one thing. Like you had, Trent, that was kind of your experience. You thought it was going to be something, and it was very much something else. Go back and listen to our Thelma and Louise episode if you haven't heard it yet. He continues. Then I finally caught American Fiction. Such an unexpected treat. This was definitely not a typical Best Picture nominee. It was just a great movie through and through. Funny as hell to boot. I love the movie stuff at the end. This ended up being probably one of my favorite films, not just from this past year, but from the past few. You guys were right to rank it high. Betsy at 2, I think. 10 out of 10 on the syrup scale.
You had that wrong. I had it at number 2.
I had it, I think 3 though.
You had it up there, but yeah, it was number 2 for me. Oppenheimer was number 1 for our Oscar rankings. Again, go back and listen to our Oscar special to get our rankings of those.
He concludes, going to catch as many as I can this summer and then report back. This summer, Mitch becomes a cinephile. What's my name? Mitch.
Excuse me, Betsy. He goes, Mitch.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Mitttrrch.
Well, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so we're just gonna leave it.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I'm the Saskatoon Whisperer.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Is it Saskatoonian? Is that how you describe Saskatoonian? Is that what? Yeah, Saskatoonian. Our favorite Saskatoonian, Mitch.
Saskatchewan.
No more. We're done. We're done. Move on.
Yes. Thank you, Mitch, for that email. I hope that you enjoy your summer of cinema and we hear from you again soon because we missed you. We haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah.
But you too can be like Mitch. Send us an email, neverseenapod@gmail.com about this movie, any of the recent ones, or frankly, any movie you would like to talk to us about.
There's over 300 movies we have covered on this podcast, Betsy. You can go out and pick any of them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we remember them. Talk to us. neverseenapod@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. Send us a message on there, comment on our posts. Any way you want to reach out is fine by us. If you also want to support the show, you can go to where you're listening to podcasts, rate us 5 stars, write us a review. That stuff definitely helps get us in front of more listeners like yourselves. But if you really want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/neverseenapod, where for just $5 a month, we have 4, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, 4 additional shows where you can hear us talk about our favorite movies, romances, whatever crazy box set we're doing at the time that you listen to this. And we're also traveling through time, and we don't know where the Wayback Machine is going to send us next. It's a mystery, Trent. We could watch anything.
It's a mystery to everybody, including us. And we have no control over where the Wayback Machine sends us. It could take us anywhere between 1960 and 2010. Any movie that is in theaters during that month, we could be watching.
And Trent hates it. It's the worst experience of his entire life.
I hate it because normally we have a long conversation about every single movie that we cover, and I can't do that with the Wayback Machine.
Nope. So if you would like to listen to Trent lose his damn mind over having no control over his destiny, that address again, patreon.com/neverseenapod. But that is going to do it for Girl Interrupted. We have 2 more weeks. 2 more, Trent. We're already halfway through the month of June.
There's 5 Sundays in June.
Yeah. So our female-led movies do not stop here. And next week, Trent, is going to be a banger.
Yeah. We're going to the theater for this one.
Uh-oh. What are we doing, Trent?
Betsy, we are going to watch the one, the only, Furiosa.
It is time. It's a brand new movie, but guess what, guys? We're slow. You should know this. If you are listening to this podcast, you know we don't go to movies opening weekend most of the time.
No, we do not.
Sometimes it takes from 1999 to 2024 for Trent to watch a movie. So, cut us some slack here. We're at least getting there in a few weeks. But yes, come back next week for Furiosa. But until then, this has been Never Seen It. My name is Betsy.
And my name is Trent.
And we will see you then.